What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Prince and the Revolution, and we're returning to the Purple Rain soundtrack, 1984. I did want to mention up front, and thank you again to Samantha for providing the film for watch-along purposes. I've slightly adjusted my plans because I realized there's only 4 tracks on the B-side of the record, so ultimately I think it would make more sense to hear the entire soundtrack and then do the movie watch-along. So that's now the plan. Even saying that, I will try to go through the remainder of the record on a slightly accelerated timeline, maybe one tune every 10 to 15 days, so at the very least in like a month or a month and a half, I can then do the proper watch-along with a full understanding of the soundtrack in mind. And once again, shout out to the people who've been here from the beginning. Chris sent me some Prince material, Stan sent me some Prince material, as I said, Samantha sent me the film, and there's been others like Tracy and Izzy who've commented along this greater journey. And we are now going to listen to a song that I knew prior to this Prince deep dive, which is to say When Doves Cry. This is definitely one I knew when I was younger. My brother used to comedically quote the line, "Maybe you're just like my mother, she's never satisfied," to my mom, who is ultimately a very supportive mother, both to me and my brother, so it was always a bit of a joke. But yes, I do have some familiarity with this tune, though I haven't heard it in a while, and I don't remember all the lines. I think there is also reference to a father figure, and so thinking about the tune independent of the film, I think it's the type of song that will surely, and for different reasons, resonate with people in relation to their own familial lives. And of course the phrase "when doves cry," this must be the sound when doves cry, I forget exactly the larger sentence or expression. That's an interesting phrase to me already, just because doves, a symbol of love, a symbol of beauty, but also promises and covenants between humans and supernatural deities. I feel like there's a lot of different directions this could go, but not knowing the film, I don't have a sense of how the lines might specifically relate to that narrative, of course. So ultimately it's one that I've known for a great long time, but which I have not heard for at least a little while, so I imagine some of the sonic moments may hit me in a surprising or fresh way, and ultimately I don't remember all of the lines and won't be able to contextualize them yet. So I'm looking forward to hearing it, and then once we get to the film watch along, I will be especially keen to hear and see the provenance or location of this track, which I do believe surely is one of Prince's most famous tracks. Now maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just one of a litany of tunes which not only maybe rose up the charts but stand out in people's memory and perhaps pop cultural history in general. But yes, it's certainly one that was on the radio when I was younger, and which in later years people would reference, not just my brother, but I've heard other people make reference to this tune. So at least on the surface of it, it seems to be a very popular track in his catalog or discography. Let's give it a listen. This is Prince and the Revolution from the Purple Rain soundtrack 1984, and it's When Doves Cry. such a good melodic hook. It's such a tune. I remembered it being a great track. It far exceeds my memory or recollection, and not just overall, but even in the individual parts. Like, I remembered that notable or lead melodic riff, but it hit even better than I was remembering. I remembered there was some guitar shredding, including at the beginning, but the extent of that and the pervasive appearance of the guitar over the course of the track, I was not recalling. I remembered there were some great vocals, including those shout-style vocalizations. I think some people might, compare them to MJ and the way he would vocalize on some of his tracks, but the degree to which those hit just the right spot was not recalling that. I think I recalled some keyboard elements, but the richness of those, especially in the latter stages, those big crescendo flourishes on keyboards, I did not recall that, and the almost like, I don't know if it was a trill because it was a bit slow relative to what you normally mean when you say that, but there was a bit of a dancing back and forth keyboard line, did not recall that. And I didn't recall the layered nature of his vocals, as well as the backing vocals, which in the moment I'm wondering if that's some of the other vocal performers on the album, but it feels like there were some layered Prince vocals where in the latter stages he's still singing the lead in the normal melody of the song up until that point, but then there's some follow-up lines which go through the lines at a different rhythm, extending or halting in ways that the main lead vocal had not yet done. And just the vocal composition or tapestry of the track, absolutely brilliant. So yes, I mean, where do I even start in terms of the chronology of the tune? I love that a bit ambient opening, though again with a guitar flourish, and then it goes into that nightclub or dance at night style sonic flavor, and then we get again these keyboard layers which give it depth and substance in addition to that catchy melody that sort of, really stands out when it gets back to the chorus. I absolutely love the lines that I heard, and I didn't remember specifically the father being bold, and the idea of like, can you picture us, sweaty, kissing our body heat like animals, but it sounds like there's a reality that he's actually alone and feels maybe as if he's been abandoned, because he's also saying, can you picture that? Well, you wouldn't need to picture it if it was real in the moment. And with the line about doves crying, it sounds like they have been shouting at each other or screaming at each other, so there's conflict, there's tension, and it seems like he's musing on, why can't we get back to this place and experience the love like doves represent? It feels like there's been a shakeup or conflict that's entered a relationship which could otherwise be more visceral, more passionate, more sexual, but now it's hypothetical, it's theoretical, it's possible, but it's not actual or real in the moment. So the lines are a bit different than I was remembering, and the visual that I get from the track is a bit different than I was recalling as well, though once again I am wondering how this may relate to the film and the narrative or the characters in the story. So just an absolutely brilliant tune. Once again, my understanding or memory is that this is a notable hit of his, and I feel like it's flawless. I feel like in many examples of music, especially like techno and punk rock, where some of these tunes I've either been listening to for a very long time, or even if they're a newer track, it's in a genre that I know back and forward, top to bottom, and so I'm perhaps a bit more picky, and I often feel like, oh, well, it's a great tune, but maybe if this part came in earlier, or if this part lasted for longer. And I do that also with synth pop, or indeed rock music, and though funk and some of the soulful stylings of Prince's music are maybe less long-term familiar to me, I still can have a more picky ear, but I feel like here it's one of those examples where, to borrow a line from the movie Amadeus, where if you changed one note, if you took one note out or reconfigured one element of this, there would be diminishment. You'd somehow make it less than what it is. So I feel like it's one of those tunes, don't touch it, it's exactly what it needs to be. So just an absolutely brilliant track. Let me know what you think, and as I said, I'm going to try to go through the B-side of this record relatively quickly, which I think includes the title tune, Purple Rain, as the final track. So I'll look forward to all the remaining tracks, but perhaps especially that one. Let me know what you think, and once we finish it, we will do a watch-along of the film, presumably over on my Patreon, because watch-alongs the way I do them, where I don't chop them up into like half the length of the actual movie. I like to have the full watch-along and people be able to comment. My guess is that it won't be allowed up here on YouTube, so it'll have to be over on my Patreon. Nevertheless, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.